Hello friends, I am Professor D.C. Trivedi, going to take your 8th lecture in TTL Logic Family series. This is our last lecture in TTL circuits. What is the use of this circuit? And how this TTL circuit can drive the external loads. External loads means other than TTL. It can drive another switch, or here it is going to be, we are going to study in two parts this particular lecture. External drive for the TTL loads and TTL drive the external loads. So external drive for the TTL loads means there are external some other devices, electronics devices and mechanical devices which output can be connected as an input of the TTL. This is known as external drives for the TTL loads. We are going to study that input of the TTL can be low or high. It can be given through the switch. Either it is called a switch drive, then how the switch is driving the TTL input, or it can be a transistor output, also can be connected to the input of the TTL. That is known as a transistor drive. So transistor is driving a TTL input. Or there can be op-amp, operational amplifier output can be connected to the input of the TTL circuits. So that is known as an op-amp drive, or sometimes there are comparators. So comparators which compares the positive or negative input voltage, and that output is connected to the TTL input. So that is called comparator drive. So this kind of circuits we are going to study, and that is known as the external devices which is driving the TTL input loads. So TTL is acting like a load and other external devices working as a source, or they are known as a drivers. Now if the TTL is acting like a load, that means or whatever external source which is supposed to be driving a TTL, that they has to fulfill the TTL input requirements. What are the TTL input requirements? When the TTL input is low, that means the input voltage should be in the range from 0 to maximum of 0.8 volt only. With that source should able to sink at least 1.6 milliampere current. That is the maximum allowable current which should be passed through that driver. And when the TTL input is going to be high, that means the source output should be between the range from 2 volt to 5 volt. This is the requirement of the output of the driver. That means the input of the TTL must be in the range from 2 volt to maximum of 5 volt, with it can have a reverse emitter current of maximum of 40 microamperes current. So these are the TTL input requirements, and that should be satisfied, or that should be fulfilled by the external drivers. So this is required. And with respect to this, we are going to study a various type of external devices which is driving a TTL. So we'll be starting with the PPT. To drive a TTL load with an external source, you need to satisfy the TTL input requirement for the voltage and current. For a standard TTL in the low state, this means an input voltage between 0 and 0.8 volt with a current of approximately 1.6 milliampere current. In the high state, the voltage has to be from 2 to 5 volt with a current of approximately 40 microampere current. Let us take a brief look at some of the way to drive the TTL loads. The first case, that is SPST switch, single pole single throw switch, that is driving a TTL loads. Only switches cannot drive the TTL load. So with the switch there is a pull-up resistance of 1 kilo ohms is connected. Figure 14.27 shows the preferred method for driving a TTL input from the switch. If the switch is open, the input is pulled up to the 5 volt. In the worst case, only 40 microampere of input current exists. Therefore, the voltage appearing at the input field is slightly less than the supply voltage because of small voltage drop across the pull-up resistors. Vi is equal to, that is the input voltage to TTL is equal to 5 volt minus voltage drop across 1 kilo ohms resistance, that is IR, that is equal to 40 microampere in the worst case condition into 1 kilo ohms, that comes out to be 4.96 volt. So this is the way switch can be drives. This is the SPST switch is there, it is connected like this one. So plus 5 volt, then this is the pull-up resistance of 1 kilo ohms resistance, and another end of this one that is output of the switch is connected to the TTL input. So when the switch is open, the current cannot pass in these directions, but there can be a reverse emitter current in these directions, and that's why that it can be exist in a high state maximum of 40 microampere in the worst case conditions. So 1 kilo ohms into 40 microamperes, that is going to be subtracted from the 5 volt, and that is 4.96 volt is available in high state for the TTL input when the switch is open. This is well above the 2 volt minimum requirements. That means 4.96 is well above 2.96. That means noise immunity when it is in the high state is very good. Even the noise signal of 2.96 volt is there won't be any false triggering. This is well above the minimum requirement of 2 volt, which is fine because it means that noise immunity is excellent. When the switch is closed, you see this circuit. When the switch is closed, what happens? This ground potential, zero potential will be appear here, and that means the input of this TTL is going to be 0 volt. This is well below from the maximum input requirement of 0.8 volt. It is acceptable up to a 0.8 volt as a low state input for the TTL. Now, in the low state, this can provide a maximum of 1.6 milliampere current to this, which can pass through the switch. But because the switch is going to can handle up to amperes current, this can pass easily through the switch to the ground, or it can sink through the switch to the ground, and there is no problem. Moreover, this voltage is 0 volt only, well below than 0.8 volt. That means noise immunity is excellent in the low state also as well as in the high state also. So when the switch is closed, the input is pulled down to the ground. In the worst case, the input current is 1.6 milliampere. This sink current creates no problem because it flows through the closed switch to the ground. The noise immunity is fine because the input voltage is 0 volt, well below the maximum allowable value of 0.8 volt. Now, the question is this: what is the size of the pull-up resistance? A pull-up resistance which is connected with the switch, it should not be too low also, because when the switch is closed, the current is flowing through the switch, and this resistance is controlling the current. How much current is drained from the power supply, it is decided by this resistance. So voltage upon resistance, that is going to be the current. So if the voltage is going to be 5 volt and current is going to be depending upon this resistance, if I am going to utilize no resistance or something like 1 ohms resistance, then 5 ampere current is draining from the power supply, which will damage the power supply. So this pull-up resistance should be some particular value. In our case right now, 5 volt upon 1 kilo ohms, that means 5 milliampere current is drained from the power supply, so it's okay, no problem. So 1 kilo ohms resistance is typical here. But if you reduce to say 10 ohms, then 500 milliampere current will pass through this one, may be damage to the power supply, or it is not good to the power supply. So the value of the resistance should be low such that the power drain from the power supply or current drain from the power supply should be acceptable. It should not be too high also. If this pull-up resistance is high, then it causes a speed problem. How? If the switch is changed from closed to open, then the input capacitance of the TTL, maybe 10 pf, is charging through this pull-up resistance, and RC time constant will be larger. Right now, if we consider that input capacitance of the TTL is 10 pf, then RC time constant is going to be 1 kilo ohms into 10 pf, that is equal to 10 nanoseconds. So the output can set up, or output from the switch can set up from 0 volt to plus 5 volt nearly in a 10 nanoseconds, which is acceptable. But if the size of the resistance is 1 mega ohms or something, then RC time constant will be approximately 1 microseconds, which is going to be 1000 nanoseconds, which is very large, and hence if the input is set up a very large time, it will take a large time to change the input, then output is also going to be delayed, and hence the speed of operation is going to be there. So this way we have to compromise between these two things: power drain from the power supply, that should be acceptable level, and size of the pull-up resistance should be such that, or it should not be too large, so that power drain is going to be saved. Okay, that is going to be decreased, but simultaneously speed of operation is also decreased, and hence normally the size of the pull-up resistance between 1 kilo ohms and 10 kilo ohms are generally taken. So we are going through the PPT. A pull-up resistance of 1 kilo ohms is nominal. You can other values. Here are some of the factors to consider when you are selecting a pull-up resistor. In figure 14.27, the current drain with a closed switch is I is equal to 5 volt upon 1 kilo ohms, that is equal to 5 milliampere right now. The smaller the pull-up resistance, the larger the current drain. At some point, too much current drain becomes a problem for the power supply. So you have to use the resistance that is large enough to keep the current drain to a tolerable level. This is one parameters we have to consider for selecting a value of the pull-up resistance. On the other hand, too large a pull-up resistance causes a speed problem. The worst case can occur when the switch is open. For instance, if the input capacitance of the TTL is 10 pf in figure 14.27, the time constant, that is RC time constant, is equal to 1 kilo ohms into 10 pf, that is equal to 10 nanoseconds. The larger the pull-up resistance, the RC time constant is going to be increased. The larger the time constant. A larger time constant means a slower switching speed, because the input capacitor has to charge through the pull-up resistance. Pull-up resistances between 1 kilo ohms and 10 kilo ohms are normally typical. They result in a current drain and time constant that are acceptable in most applications. Now we'll see that how transistor can drive to the TTL input. So output of the transistor will be connected to the TTL input, and this transistor will act like a switch. Figure 14.28a shows another way to drive a TTL load. This time we are using a transistor switch to control the state of the TTL input. When the input voltage of the transistor is low, base emitter junction of the transistor is reverse bias and transistor is cut off. So the output voltage VC is approximately equal to VCC, and that is going to be 5 volt. If it is connected with the load resistance of 1K and the VCC is going to be 5 volt, then the input to the TTL is going to be 5 volt. It's good in the high state because it is well above 2 volt, and hence the noise immunity is excellent. Moreover, this 40 microampere currents maximum can pass through the power supply. There is no harm. In the low state, when the input to the transistor, that is base emitter junction, is going to be high, transistor goes into the saturation. Transistor acts as a closed switch. So the collector and emitter is closed and the maximum current is passing through this one. So the collector potential may be a 0.2 volt or something, which is well below the 0.8 volt of the TTL input requirement, and hence the noise sensitivity is good. And it can drive the transistor. This transistor can drive the TTL input. Like in figure A, you can see that this is figure A. This transistor is acting like a switch, or it is working as an inverter switch, not gate. Input is low, the transistor is on, and output of this transistor is going to be high. That is, the input of the TTL is going to be high. When the input is going to be high, transistor is closed switch, and collector emitter current is going to be passing. Here the voltage is going to be 0.2 volt only. That is the input to the TTL is acceptable. But here you can see that this input signal is inverted. Input signal is going to be low. Input to the TTL is going to be high. Input is going to be high. Then input signal to the TTL is going to be low. That means input is inverted. If this is objectionable, you can utilize one inverter in between. So double inversions makes no inversions. That means whatever input signal is there, that is actual input signal is available to the TTL input. When Vi is high, the transistor is on and is equivalent to a closed switch. In this case, it easily sinks 1.6 milliampere of input current. The transistor inverts the control signal Vi. If this is objectionable, you can insert an inverter as shown in figure 14.28b. Now, the double inversions produce an in-phase control signals at the TTL input. Now, the third device which can drive the TTL input is the operational amplifier. How the operational amplifier op-amp can drive the TTL input? Operational amplifier or op-amp can normally work with the split power supply of plus 15 volt and minus 15 volt. That means output of the op-amp can swing, either it is going to be plus 15 volt or it is going to be minus 15 volt. But this voltage can damage the TTL input requirements. TTL input can tolerate up to 5 volt or more than 5.5 volt. So if it is a 15 volt etc. is going to be there, so it can damage the TTL inputs. So what to do? So in between the operational amplifier and TTL input, we can connect a transistor and we can adjust the VCC of the transistor of 5 volt. So when the transistor is on, the output is going to be 0 and of the transistor, and that is the input to the TTL. And when the output of the transistor is going to be cut off, that means output of the transistor is going to be high, that is going to be VCC, and that is connected 5 volt. So 5 volt input is going to be available to the TTL input. Let us see how it works. Sometimes you want to use the output of operational amplifier to control a TTL input. Because op-amps typically use split power supply voltage of plus 15 and minus 15 volt, you have to be careful how to connect to the TTL load. Figure 14.29 shows one way to use the output of a 741 to control a TTL input. The output of op-amp is ideally swing from plus 15 volt to minus 15 volt. So this is the way it should be connected. This is your op-amp which is having inverting terminal, a non-inverting terminal plus and inverting terminal minus. The split power supply is going to be plus 15 volt minus 15 volt, and this is 741 operational amplifier. Output of op-amp is normally swinging from plus 15 to minus 15 volt. So it cannot be directly connected to the TTL input. So intermediate stage or buffer stage of the transistors we require. Here we have connected 2N3904 is a NPN transistor we are going to utilize here. So when the output is going to be high, that is going to be plus 15 volt. That means the base emitter junction of this transistor is going to be forward bias, and the transistor is conducting heavily saturated, and the transistor is acting like a closed switch. And this transistor is through the pull-up resistance or RL 1 kilo ohms. It is connected with the power supply of plus 5 volt. So the transistor is conducting and only 0.2 volt is going to be appear at the input of TTL input. and that is considered to be acceptable low state TTL input, which with a current of 1.6 milliampere can sink through the transistor, so there is no problem. When the output of this op-amp is going to be low, or when the lower end of this one is going to be more positive, output will be swing to minus 15 volt. Minus 15 volt at the base and emitter is going to be 0 volt. That means it is the reverse bias. Transistor will be off. Transistor work as open switch, and here the potential will be plus 5 volt. That is at here at the input of the TTL, and it will consider as a valid high state input because it is 5 volt, well above the 2 volt, and it can easily source 40 microampere currents to the input of the TTL in the worst case condition. So no problem. This way op-amp can drive the TTL through the transistor 2N3904. Now you will be having the question why diode D is going to be placed here. When the output is going to be minus 15 volt of the op-amp, base emitter junction is going to be minus 15 volt VB, which is well above excessive current, excessive voltage VB maximum. It can tolerate up to the minus 6 volt only. If it is more than minus 6 volt, reverse bias is also going to be breakdown. And you have seen that in a PN junction, and when the reverse bias is going to be broke down, that means avalanche effect will start and high current will flow. To protect this one, this diode is going to be utilized in a reverse way. This is a cathode and this is anode. So when minus 15 volt is going to be here, this diode becomes forward bias and it clamps the potentially here is going to be minus 0.7 volt only. So 0.7 volt minus is lower than this one. So the transistor remains on and transistor is going to be protected. The positive swing closes the transistor switch, producing a TTL input of approximately 0 volt. The negative swing drives the transistor into cutoff, producing a TTL input of plus 5 volt. Notice the diode in the base circuit. It protects the base against excessive reverse voltage. The dataset of a 2N3904 indicates the absolute maximum base emitter voltage rating of VB maximum is equal to minus 6 volt only. That means up to minus 6 volt base emitter reverse junctions it can work, but if it is excess than that it is breakdown. Since the negative output of op-amp approaches minus 15 volt, we need to use a protective diode as shown in the figure between the base and ground. This diode clamps the base voltage at approximately minus 0.7 volt on the negative swing. The fourth type of device which is driving the TTL input is a comparator drive. There is a LM339 is one of the IC which is working as a comparator. It compares the two input, and if the input is positive, something is going to happen, output is going to be swing to the positive 15 volt, and if the input voltage is a negative or the input terminal is more negative, then the output is going to be swing to minus 15 volt, because LM339 works over split power supply just like op-amp with plus 15 volt and minus 15 volt normally. Or instead of that, you can connect a plus 15 volt and 0 volt ground. Moreover, in a LM339, there is an output transistor, and that output transistor Q4 is open collector transistor. That means its collector is going to be floating, where you can connect a pull-up resistance, and another end of the pull-up resistance you can connect to any value of the supply voltage which you require. In TTL, we require the input to the TTL is going to be 5 volt, so we can connect the VCC voltage of this open collector transistor to the 5 volt. Let us see. Figure 14.30a shows a schematic diagram for a typical comparator. An IC that detects when the input voltage is either positive or negative. Notice two things. First, a supply voltage of plus 15 volt is typically used with this kind of device. Second, the comparator has open collector output transistor Q5. This sink transistor can be connected to any supply voltage depending upon our requirements. This is a schematic circuit diagram of LM339. This is the logic circuit diagram of this interface between 339 and TTL inputs. So you can see that these are the two inputs. With respect to, if this is more positive, this is working with the plus 15 volt, and this is your Q5 transistor, which is open collector transistor, and collector is open, which cannot work unless you connect a pull-up resistance like this one. So output of the LM339, that is this pin, should be connected to the lower end of the pull-up resistance, and upper end of the pull-up resistance should be connected to the plus 5 volt because we want to drive a TTL input. So when the input is positive, if this input is going to be positive, remember, now see this one, transistor Q6 is always conducting because this is a PNP transistor, and this emitter is going to be 15 volt with respect to the base. So emitter is always higher potential with respect to this one. So this transistor is always conducting. It is working like a load resistance. Transistor Q1 and Q2 is also PNP transistor. So if the base of this one, that means this terminal, is going to be more positive, that means here there is a 15 volt. Here is also going to, because it is conducting, here is also going to be slightly less than 15 volt. This is a base emitter junction, it's going to be reverse bias. So transistor Q2 is not conducting. But at that time, transistor Q1 is conducting, that means there is a current is flowing through this directions from emitter of the Q1 to the collector of the Q1, and it is passing through this diode Q3 because Q3 becomes forward bias and the current is flowing through this one. This will also provide the base current to the transistor Q4. So base potential is 0.7 volt higher than this. So this transistor Q4 will go into the saturation, and this is working as a closed switch. When this is working as a closed switch, the ground potential will appear at this collector. That means base emitter junction of Q5 is reverse bias because the base potential is going to be 0 volt with respect to ground. That means this transistor cannot conduct. So transistor Q5 is going to be off. Transistor Q5 is going to be off. That means output terminal is connected to this one is high because it is not, current is not passing in the directions. So this is only slight voltage drop from 1K because of 40 microampere current, and the input to the TTL is approximately 4.96 volt or something. Then put worst case condition, 40 reverse microampere current is passing through a TTL input. If the input is going to be negative, then what happens? Input is going to be negative, that means this transistor will be conducting, this transistor will be off. If this transistor is conducting, that means there is a current, and that means this switch is going to be, transistor is going to be conducting, and hence the potential 15 volt is going to be appear over here. But this transistor is not conducting, that means there is no base current for this transistor, so this transistor is cut off from the ground, and that means this transistor Q4 is acting like an open switch. So here the potential is going to be 15 volt. We'll see that base emitter junction of transistor Q4 is forward bias, or base emitter junction is going to be forward bias, so it will provide the base current, and transistor Q4 will be closed switch, or it is on, and the current is passing through this 1 kilo ohms through the transistor Q5 to the ground, and it can sink up to maximum 1.6 milliampere current, which is sourced by the TTL input, can be passed through, or it can sink through the transistor Q5, no problem. And the output of this one is going to be only 0 volt, which is well requirement of the TTL input when the TTL input is low. So this way the comparator also can drive the TTL input, but you have to make sure that there should be a pull-up resistance, and other end of the pull-up resistance should be connected with plus 5 volt. Figure 14.30b shows how to connect a LM339 typical comparator to a TTL load. Because of the open collector output, we can connect the output pin of the comparator to a supply voltage of plus 5 volt through a pull-up resistance of 1 kilo ohms. When input is positive, the sink transistor goes off and TTL input is pulled high. When the input voltage is negative, the sink transistor goes on and TTL output is pulled low. We have already discussed the same. Now, the second part of this lecture is TTL driving the external load. That means TTL is acting like a driver. Output of the TTL is connected to the external devices. Now, external devices can be in general given by a load, or it is called a load resistance, or it can drive LED, or it can drive a transistor, or it can drive some another relay circuits, etc. Because you know that standard TTL can sink and source higher currents. Standard TTL, when the output is low, it can sink 16 milliampere current, and when the output is going to be high, it can source 400 milliampere current. So it can drive LED also, it can drive relays also, etc. And what is the size of the pull-up resistance will be required, that or load resistance is required, that we are going to find out here. Because the standard TTL can sink up to 16 milliampere current, you can use a TTL driver to control external load such as relay, LED, etc. Figure 14.31a illustrates this idea. When the TTL output is high, there is low load current. But when the TTL output is low, the lower end of the RL is ideally grounded. You can see this circuitry. This is the TTL. It is driving output load, and output load is connected with the plus 5 volt. So when the TTL output is going to be high, that means the output is 5 volt. This side also it is going to be 5 volt. So no load current is going to be there. But when the TTL output is going to be low, that means the totem pole arrangement, the lower transistor is conducting 1.6 milliampere current can pass through this one. 16 milliampere current can sink through this sink transistor or saturation transistor Q4. And how much current will be there passing through this one? 5 volt divided by 16 milliampere current maximum. In the worst case conditions, that means the value of the resistance minimum allowable value of this load resistance should be 312 ohms only. So that is deciding this value of the load resistance. So it should be up to minimum 312 ohms, or it can be higher. Then the load current passing through this one may be lower. So the transistor will be protected or no problem. It can drive this kind of LED also. So LED anode is connected with the plus 5 volt, cathode is connected through the current limiting resistance of 270 ohms to the lower end of this one. So when the output is going to be low, that means what happens? This is working actually 0 volt. So 5 volt and voltage drop across the LED is going to be 2 volt. That means 5 volt minus 2 volt upon the value of the resistance is going to be 270 ohms. So V upon R, that is equal to 270 ohms, 3 upon 270 ohms, that is equal to 11.1 milliampere current, which is passing through this one, which is well below a maximum sinking current of 16 milliampere current. So no problem. That way, that is the reasons 270 ohms is connected. Otherwise, more current will be passing, and this output of the TTL can be damaged. So this way, TTL can drive a load. It can be anything, speaker also, or anything which is having a load resistance minimum of 312 ohms, or it should be higher than that. Or it can drive a LED also, it can drive a relay also, etc. This sets up a load current of approximately IL is equal to 5 volt upon RL. Since the standard TTL can sink a maximum of 16 milliampere, the load resistance is limited to minimum value of about RL is equal to 5 volt upon maximum sinking current possible, 16 milliampere, that is equal to 312 ohms. It can drive the LED also. So driving an LED. Figure 14.131b is another example. Here a TTL circuit drives LED. When the TTL output is high, the LED is dark because it is reverse bias. So no current is passing and it remains dark. When the TTL output is low, the LED lights up because it is forward bias, current passing through the LED, so it reduces the light energy. If the LED voltage drop is 2 volt, the LED current for a low TTL output is approximately IL is equal to 5 volt minus 2 volt divided by 270 ohms, that is equal to 11.1 milliampere current passing through the lower sinking transistor of the TTL. Second thing, sometimes you require that output of this TTL driver can drive to the CMOS etc., which may require higher voltage, not 5 volt. It may require 10 volt, it may require 15 volt, or it can drive a relay etc., which will be having a higher voltage. That means this load resistance, here it is a mistake, actually not 5 volt. It is required that you want to drive a 15 volt for a CMOS etc. That means there should be a open collector TTL should be utilized, where output transistor is open collector which can be returned through the pull-up resistance or RL through a 15 volt. And then when the transistor is not conducting, output of this TTL is going to be 15 volt, which is requirement. And when the input output is going to be low, this transistor can sink maximum of 16 milliampere current. So you can say that 15 divided by this RL, that is equal to maximum current which can pass through the open collector transistor, 16 milliampere, and hence this value of the resistance minimum will be almost nearly 1 kilo ohm or slightly less than 1 kilo ohms is required. Sometimes you require that output current of this TTL circuit is a higher current you require. You want to drive a relay, you want to drive some speaker etc. So in that case, higher current is required. Then you can utilize the output of this one with the transistor. So it can drive a higher current. How it will work? Here you can see that the load resistance RL is approximately 100 ohms is connected, and this RV is approximately 1 kilo ohms is connected. So when the output of the TTL is going to be low, what happens? The transistor will not conduct. Transistor will work as open switch, and output of the transistor will be 15 volt like this one. So load current here it is going to be 0. But because 15 volt and output of this one is going to be low, this current will be passed through the RV through the lower transistor Q4 of the totem pole arrangement, or you can say the open collector transistor, when the output of open collector transistor is going to be low, and that is going to be 15 volt upon 1K, that is approximately 15 milliampere current will pass through this one, no problem. When the output of this one is going to be high, so that is going to be 15 volt, that will see that this transistor will conduct, and 1 milliampere or 15 milliampere current is passing to the base emitter junction of this one. And if we consider that HFE is going to be 10, that means a base current here it is going to be 10 milliampere or 15 milliampere, then the collector current is going to be 10 times more, because RL upon RV or RV upon RL is going to be 10 times. So that IC current is 10 times larger than IB current, and hence you can have a load current approximately of 150 milliampere current. Supply voltage different from plus 5 volt you require sometimes. If you need to use a supply voltage different from plus 5 volt, you can use an open collector TTL device. For instance, figure 14.32a on the next page shows an open collector gate driving a TTL resistance that is returned to a plus 15 volt. Since an open collector device can sink a maximum of 16 milliampere current, the minimum load resistance in figure 14.32a is slightly less than 1 kilo ohms, because 15 volt divided by 1 kilo ohms is nearly 15 milliampere. So slightly less than 1 kilo ohms, we'll see that it will be 16 milliampere current maximum can pass through the sink transistor. If you want more than 16 milliampere of the load current, you can use an external transistor as shown in figure 14.32b. When the open collector device has a low output, the external transistor goes off and the load current is zero. When the device has a high output, the external transistor goes on, then load current is a maximum. Maybe if RL is going to be 100 ohms and RV is going to be 1K, then the load current is 10 times. That means it is going to be 150 milliampere current is possible. Thank you very much, friends. So this way we have completed here TTL logic family, and next time onwards we'll start with the CMOS logic family.